With all the noise around AI right now, the hype, the hot takes, the junk content clogging feeds, you might be wondering if any of it is actually useful for real video work. Like, beyond making meme garbage, can AI actually speed up your workflow or help you make something better? Short answer, yes. Long answer. Let me walk you through the exact AI tools I actually use all the time, how they fit into a real editing pipeline, and why Vizard ends up being the thing I rely on to turn long-form footage into attention-grabbing social clips without losing my mind. Alright, first thing I want to talk about is slow motion, because AI has totally changed how I think about stretching time. I recently shot a barrel race, super fast action, and I wanted to milk the final stretch for dramatic effect. I edit primarily in Final Cut Pro, but what I'm about to show works similarly in DaVinci Resolve and Premiere. The key term you need to know is Optical Flow. That's the AI-driven frame interpolation engine that fills in new frames so slow-mo doesn't look like a slideshow. So I take my 60 FPS clip, slap on Optical Flow in Final Cut, and crank it way down, and then you can get clean 50% slow-mo almost every time. But the real magic is dropping down to 25% or even 10% when you need that cinematic feel. It analyzes motion, synthesizes intermediate frames, and suddenly you've got usable, buttery slow motion instead of a jittery mess. Heads up, the results depend on the image quality. Very blurry, fast-moving hooves will show artifacts, but for a lot of projects it's totally usable, even stylistically cool. DaVinci calls this the same thing, and Premiere's got similar tech too. Next up is subject masking, which is honestly the single most common thing I use these days. In Final Cut, it's called magnetic mask. In Resolve, it's magic mask. And Premiere recently added object selection. All of them use AI to grab a person or object and track them across the clip without you having to rotoscope frame by frame. Drop the mask on, click the subject, hit analyze, and it generally nails it. Once you've got that mask, the creative possibilities really open up. One obvious trick is to layer text or graphics behind the masked subject, so it feels like they're sitting in front of floating words. Another great use is selective color grading. You can grade the background separately from the person, so skin tones stay natural while the room gets a moodier grade. The tool's fast and clean, and honestly, I use it on almost every talking head. Now let's combine things, because sky replacement used to be a multi-hour affair. Track, rotoscope, color match, dodge, burn. With modern tools, it's way faster. Here's my workflow. I grab a clean frame where the sky is visible, export a single still, and use an image-to-image AI model to add realistic clouds. I've been experimenting with a bunch of models. Some of them are insane at preserving perspective and lighting. The trick is to ask the model to only modify the sky and keep everything else intact. Sometimes you have to then ask it to generate a pure sky version so you can composite cleanly. Once you have that sky still, you can even animate it. There are now AI services that will take that sky and generate a subtle cloud drift. Not a hyperspeed time-lapse, but a long, slow movement that feels natural. Export as video, upscale to match your footage, and then use your subject mask to reveal the new sky behind your subject. A couple of opacity layers and subtle slowdowns, and you've got a real-looking sky replacement with motion. It's a game changer for making a midday shoot feel golden hour cinematic. Audio cleanup is another area where AI makes an enormous difference. I record outdoors sometimes, and HVAC or AC buzz is a constant nightmare. In Final Cut, you've got a voice isolation slider that's stupidly simple and very effective. DaVinci Resolve calls it dialogue isolation, and many pros swear Resolve gives you the most granular control. Point is, every major editor now has an AI noise removal tool, and they actually work well enough that you don't need to re-record half your footage. Captions. If you post vertical content, you already know this pain. My go-to for captions lately is CapCut on desktop. It auto-transcribes reliably, and the text handling is smarter for social formats. Templates, auto-scaling, smart split points, and presets that look modern. My typical flow is finish the edit, export a single master file, bring that into CapCut and let it auto-caption. From there, you can quickly style captions and export vertical-ready versions for TikTok, IG, YouTube Shorts. Here's a tip that saves a ton of time. If you mess up a single line in your audio, you don't need to re-record the whole thing. There are voice cloning tools that can synthesize your voice from a short sample and replace just that sentence. Export a wave of your audio, train the voice clone with a minute of you talking, then type the corrected line and generate. Drop it in your timeline, splice, and nobody's the wiser. Obviously, use this responsibly, only to fix honest mistakes in your own content. Now onto the big productivity win, AI editing assistants. There are services that can automatically cut silences, remove filler words, and even trim out duplicate takes, which is useful. I used a tool recently that transcribed my whole A-roll, identified repeats, and reconstructed a clean version with the best takes. It's great, but each tool has limits. Some are too aggressive and junk up the pacing or delete things you wanted to keep. That's where Vizard comes in for me. Vizard does the thing I hate most, turning long videos into dozens of snappy, platform-ready clips without me babysitting every edit. It scans your long-form footage, picks the viral or highlight moments, and generates ready-to-post clips. But it doesn't stop there. You can set an auto-schedule so the AI posts on a cadence you choose, and the content calendar lets you manage timing, platforms, and tweak clips in one place. It's not a glorified exporter, it's an actual workflow optimizer. Compare that to some competitors. A lot of dedicated captioning or editing apps are great at one task, but force you to bounce between tools. Some cloud editors are expensive per seat, some have limited export options, and others don't understand platform nuance. Vizard's strength is that it thinks like a content creator. It knows typical short-form lengths, it highlights emotional beats, it can batch create multiple variations, and it ties directly into scheduling. A practical example. I just shot a long Q&A and wanted to push it across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. Instead of sitting for hours cutting every moment, I dropped the file into Vizard. It pulled out a dozen clips based on engagement signals and structure, auto-generated captions, and scheduled posts over the next 2 weeks at optimal times. Total time? Way less than hand-editing a single 60-second clip. Also, Vizard's content calendar is underrated. Being able to batch edit a series of clips, change posting frequency, or reschedule a week of content when something newsy pops up is huge. Other tools make you re-export and re-upload. Vizard keeps everything centralized and social ready. Of course, I still use Final Cut, Resolve, and other creativity-focused apps for heavy grading, complex timelines, and sound design. I still grab music and SFX from libraries I trust. But Vizard sits in the middle of that ecosystem and automates the repetitive grunt work, finding the viral moments, cropping variations, adding caption templates, and scheduling them out. If you're a creator who publishes regularly, Vizard can save you hours every week. It's especially valuable if you repurpose long-form content like podcasts or interviews into bite-sized social posts. Instead of thinking of content creation as one long manual grind, you start thinking in systems. Shoot, upload, let the AI find the hooks, approve, and schedule. That way you spend your creative energy on better shoots, better story beats, and better thumbnails. So yeah, AI is messy, but it's also incredibly useful if you pick tools that actually solve real problems. Use Optical Flow for cinematic slow-mo, masks for compositing, AI sky tools for quick fixes, voice isolation for cleaner audio, and voice cloning for tiny fixes. But use Vizard to glue it all together into an automated publishing system. It's not about replacing editors, it's about automating the boring parts so you can do more of the creative stuff. If you made it this far, hopefully you picked up at least one new trick you can use next time you edit. Try combining a few of these tools and see how much time you save. And if you're turning long videos into regular social content, give Vizard a shot. It might just be the thing that keeps your feed consistent, without stealing your weekends. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.